Imagine you've been paying your trusted insurance broker, a man you've known for 10 years, thousands of pounds to protect your family, your home, and your business. You've got all the right certificates on all the proper letterheads, and really you've been paying for that peace of mind, sleeping safe at night, knowing you're doing all the right things to protect everything that you've worked so hard to build. But now, a nightmare unfolds in front of your very eyes. A fire occurs, and when you call your insurer to file the claim, your heart sinks when you're told, "We've got no record of you." Now, this wasn't a hypothetical scenario for the victims of Leon Price. Price was a commercial insurance manager based out of Kent. He didn't just steal money, he stole people's livelihoods, their safety nets, and he left them thousands of pounds out of pocket. He was canny too, working various methods and schemes, until ultimately he diverted £133,000 into his own bank account. Price exploited his position to manipulate the systems and deceive both customers and insurers alike. Using his insider knowledge, he was able to generate policy documents during the initial cooling off period and then cancel them as soon as he had some compelling evidence to convince his clients that they had indeed got genuine cover. He then misdirected customer payments into his own personal bank account. And as if that weren't enough, he also had the audacity to impersonate genuine policyholders and pursue fraudulent claims against their policies for everything from water damage to stolen bikes, lost hearing aids, and ceiling repairs. By being in control of that claims process from start to finish, he was able to insert his own bank details into the payment forms so that insurers paid him rather than the rightful customers. He submitted invoices, claims forms, and made up receipts to convince insurers that claims were genuine, when all the while actual policyholders remained completely unaware that claims had ever been made in their name. Can you imagine the shock of being declined cover or having increased premiums in the future for a claim you'd never even made? The scale of Price's offending was just as shocking, and the real risk he was putting people at is far worse than just possessions. One riding school was put in serious danger with his failure to insure riders against accidents. This wasn't just about missing paperwork, it was about kids riding horses with zero liability cover. One fall would have destroyed the business, ruined their reputation, and left a family devastated. So he wasn't just gambling with money, he was really gambling with lives. In another case, a landlord was misled into believing his properties and vehicles were insured, when in reality, Price had left them totally exposed to losses, including a terrible scenario that left one property seriously damaged after a rogue tenant turned it into a cannabis factory. Another client paid £18,000 over the years to insure their business, only to find out they had never, ever had cover. And the lengths that Price would go to cover his tracks were shocking too. One individual paid thousands for motor trade and property insurance. He was twice stopped by police for driving uninsured vehicles, despite having certificates that he believed proved otherwise. And things finally came to a head when he needed to claim for his burger van, his livelihood, which was stolen. Now, to hide the fact that he had no cover, Price actually sent him a fraudulent payout from his own bank account. Now, this is just a reinvention of a Ponzi scheme, using stolen money from new customer B to pay a fake claim to old customer A. But how does a professional with decades of experience like this turn into a ghost broker without anyone noticing? Well, it was certainly helped along by our hardwired authority bias. We are much less sceptical of people in a position of authority, hiding behind a mask or badge to make things seem much more legitimate. We also see this all the time on social media now too. Look at the celebrity endorsements or even dentists recommending toothpaste. He also exploited their normalcy bias. The insurance has been in place for years. It's had no claims, it's got very legitimate looking paperwork. This is quiet, unassuming, quite boring financial products that people aren't really paying attention to. And as long as there wasn't a claim, he could just carry on getting away with this. So how do we stop falling for this type of scam? Well, don't be lulled into a false sense of security just because someone wears a high-vis jacket or an expensive suit. Always think about that chain of custody, how to externally verify something rather than having to just take someone's word as gospel. And never, under any circumstances, pay an insurance claim into a personal bank account or any premiums into accounts that don't bear the name of the regulated firm. Once in a while, check in with your policy directly with the providers by logging into their own website rather than asking the broker for information. And if you do get a payout, check your remittance advice. If the money's coming from an individual names rather than an insurance company, you know it's a huge red flag. Don't forget to check the FCA register to make sure you're dealing with a reputable, legitimate, registered firm. And if you suspect that something's wrong, please don't wait. Action fraud are now a thing of the past. Go straight to the new Report Fraud portal. It's a much more aggressive system made for this exact type of pattern detection. When this all unravelled thanks to a vigilant claims handler at LV, Price was ultimately sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison. I'm Zoe Taylor, and this is Money Crimes and Human Minds. I'll see you next Wednesday for your weekly short report. And please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our special guest interviews on the first Friday of every month. Mind the money and watch the mind.